Welcome to Awaken the Awesome
with my dad, Olivier.
As we near the end of the year with the holiday season in full swing, it only felt appropriate to close out this incredible and energizing year with a bit of reflection and necessary gratitude. Thing is, and I've admitted this on and off this podcast, I'm somewhat of a workaholic. Whether that's a gift or a curse depends on your personal perspective. But as I took a step back and intentionally realized how far this podcast has come in such a short time, it certainly makes the hard work, sacrifices, and commitment feel noteworthy. You spend so much time with your head down, focused and undeterred, you often do neglect to fully appreciate all that you've achieved. For this year-end episode, the last of 2019, I wanted to change things up a bit, in the spirit of trying something new. Following some encouraging messages from many of you, I decided to hand over the proverbial keys to the castle and delegate hosting duties to an individual whose work, support, and newfound friendship have been immensely useful over the past year. There's a very short list of people whom I could trust with running this ship while I take a breather and take it all in for a sec. And I'm grateful to him for answering the call. With a keen eye for detail in an industry that is certainly always changing, Brad Bodnarchuk is quite possibly one of the most dynamic restaurant consultants in the world. With an intense passion for both people and food, Brad's desire to create positive change in this particular space cannot be understated. One of the busiest guys I know, with a prestigious list of clients both local and abroad, Brad is also the creator and host of the Half a Dozen Hospitality podcast, which you should definitely check out. This episode was indeed a tremendous exercise in vulnerability and humility, where I found myself going back to the beginning and quite a few other places I did not think I would. I hope you'll forgive your humble servant as I laugh childishly, chuckle nervously, and celebrate gratefully as I get to look back at the year that's been and look forward to the years to come, sooner than you think. So let's get into this. This is Awaken the Awesome, episode 106, the year-end special, with me, Olivier, and guest host, Brad Bodnarchuk. Here we go. Brad, thanks so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. It's so weird to be on the receiving end of my own podcast, but hey, it's a little it's a nice opportunity. Towards the end of the year, it's been a long ass year. Sometimes it's hard when you're doing something as a one-man army to hand over the keys to your baby, but hey, it's someone you trust, it's someone you look up to. So thank you for answering the call, and I really appreciate it, man. Really, truly, I'm truly appreciative.
Oh man, it's my absolute honor to be here and to do this and to hold space for you. And I'm super excited that you are taking the time to allow for your listeners to get a better understanding of who you are. I think that's so admirable. And you've been doing so much for so many other people. And now it's time to really kind of turn the limelight a bit and the spotlight on you. And I feel so privileged that I get to be that person that gets to facilitate that conversation. So thank you for allowing me to have the keys to this very nice, very elegant vehicle that you call Awaken the Awesome podcast. So I'm always intrigued by what is in a name. And you and I both being parents, we had the opportunity to name our kids, and there's usually some meaning behind that, like why that name, what does it mean to you, what does it mean to your wife, to your partner. I've always been intrigued with your podcast. I mean, from the outside looking in, we can kind of make our own or pull our own meanings from what you were hoping to achieve with the name, like the one that you've chosen for your podcast. But what does the name of your podcast mean to you?
There's a story behind it. We have to go back a little bit to a lesser nice story. I've got no reservations about telling it. The thing is, it started from actually a depressing real. I was really depressed at the time. In a previous life, it was all about the job. It was all about the career, just running around, doing business and the entire corporate shtick. I was doing all that really nice stuff. Bank account was nice, but marriage-wise and parenting-wise, my daughter was born. And I was just running around and everything, the typical scenario of weekends, answering emails and phones and text and all over the place. And at a certain point, it got really overwhelmed, and I hit a bit of a burnout, really severe. And at that point, we had just bought the house. My son was about to be born. And then I took a step back. I took a really, really long look inward, as you have to. and I asked myself, okay, what's more important to me? Do I care about this career, because bigger and better opportunities were coming down the pipeline? Or do I want to, focus on what matters to me, my wife and my kids? And it wasn't really a hard choice. I made the important choice to put myself first, myself and my family. And I had a couple of weeks left in my paternity leave. And I called my boss and told him, listen, the commitment and dedication you need from me is not something I can, pursue, or something I still give you. So I need to walk away from this. And it was very amicable, totally understanding. Superb collaboration, like, you know what, all the best to you. And that's what I did. Now, those weeks that I took in my basement alone with the baby, I was like, okay, what does the awesome go there? I had gotten a book from a good friend of mine by Neil Petrishka, who basically wrote the Book of Awesome. Because it was something I used to basically publish a lot on my Facebook page. My personal Facebook page was the quote, was the hashtag stay awesome. I was like all over the place because I am that guy, always trying to uplift everybody. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I felt like a hypocrite because I am just promoting and tooting everybody. Stay awesome. You're going to have an awesome day. But as far as I'm concerned, in my little darkness of my whole of internal dialogue, I was not doing so well. And I had to take a lot of personal conversations. And I told myself, you know what else can happen other than if I don't move, if I don't, try as best I can to wake up tomorrow and make a better decision for myself. I'm not asking to change the entire situation. This is all inner conversations. And I told myself, you know what? I got to make a decision. I got to choose to be better. And I got to choose I used to be, quote unquote, awesome. So right now, maybe he's asleep and we need to make the effort for ourselves. And how are we going to do that? We need to awaken, how are we going to do that? Let's make the effort. Let's make the decisions. Like put the right steps together. Let's talk differently. Let's speak differently. And let's try, to build a little better every day. That was for me. And my wife was like, you know what? You've got, media background. You've done a podcast before in a past life. You know what? Maybe you should try to do a podcast about that, about your process. Shout out to the wife. And eventually that's how it happened. But that's where the name came from. Awakening my inner awesome. It's very self-serving, but that's what I had and that's what I ran with. Sorry, the long ass answer. I'm sorry.
No, man, this is your show. You can go as long as you want, dude. This is all about you. I had no idea you had a podcast before. That's really cool. We can either dive into that or we can breeze by it. But let's hold some space for the woman in your life that she comes up a lot when you and I are just conversing back and forth via text.
Yeah.
You're always very quick to mention her and give props and praise to her. So
I'm so blessed.
How key has she been in you awakening your awesome, and how key has she been in you keeping this thing going to where it is at today?
It takes a special kind of crazy to deal with somebody like me. We've been together right now 15 plus years, been married for 10, through ups and downs, hills and valleys, successes and lessers over the years. But, as the quote says, it's ride or die. I like to also say that she knows everything that's wrong about me and it's okay. And in terms of this project, in terms of this podcast, support has been nothing else but stellar. She listens to all my episodes, good, bad, ugly. You talk too much, you're pinched, you're too excited. Yes, you're happy to get the guest, but you're mumbling, you're going off the rails, slow down. Every single time, every single episode. Now that's just listening to the finished product. But in terms of the editing process, because, I have a life. I have a 9 to 5. I have kids. Life goes on. But here I am in the basement from 9, 10, 11, 1 a.m. She'll still be upstairs texting me like, are you done editing yet? Are you okay? You need to get some sleep. You want me to bring you some coffee? You'll be fine. These are the stuff that's happening in the background. But that's what you call love. That's what you call support. And that's something that I will eternally be grateful for because, you know what? I could hang this up tomorrow and it would not be wasted time. But to think about all the commitment and support I've gotten from this one person who calls me her husband and who is my partner and my dedicated number one fan, you can't give that back. That is, for me, it's really precious. It's something I really, really, really am grateful for, all through this entire project. It's been something that, it's been a gift and it's been a joy. And I tell her thank you all the time. Sometimes, the episode's a little bit crap, but, sometimes like, did you really think you weren't going to say that? But it's nice to have someone to bounce ideas off from. And it's, no matter what crazy or how crazy, it's been a gem. It's been a gem. It's something you have to be grateful for. Have someone in your corner.
Oh, it's imperative. It's absolutely imperative. And I have to ask, I think this is like low hanging fruit in regards to questions, but why a podcast? Why has this been something that you are so consistent with, so great at in regards to hosting people and highlighting what is awesome about them and highlighting what they've done? But why this form of media? Why has this been something that comes so naturally to you and that you're able to do so consistently?
I used to do broadcasting when I was a kid, back in high school, growing up in Haiti. I did a bit of internship at a local radio station during the summer because they needed to fill up some morning time slots. So I used to do also theater when I was in high school. So with, me expressing myself and, the program director, who was a good friend of my mom at the time, call me up and say, hey, we're trying to fill up some time slots, just play some songs, like, kid stuff, just, local, talk about movie stars and stuff. Maybe Olivier would be fine, on the mic, just 2 hours in the morning, can just, intern. So I did that once, did really well, did that another summer, did really well. And then lo and behold, like, when the top afternoon DJs were, going on vacations, like, hey, Olivier, you only want to do the afternoon slot to drive home as well? It's like, hey, I got nothing else to do in my summer. Might as well. So that gave me a lot of, track record in terms of, handling the mic, handling the soundboards and stuff. Fast forward to college when I came to Montreal, also, did some, volunteering, just pro bono stuff at the local, college, radio station. I did that. And so I've always been a good conversationalist. So I've always enjoyed that part, just, handling and having a good conversation. I could talk 4 hours about toothpicks. That's what I do. I just enjoy knowing about people, meeting new people. I am that guy who'll see you on the subway, basically with reading an interesting book, like, hey, hi, what are you reading? And just strike up a conversation. I'm like that. So why the podcast is because, first of all, YouTube, I tried doing the YouTube thing, but I'm just not that visually creative. Or maybe too lazy, but I tried doing both at the same time. With my previous podcast, it was just like too much work. So I'm like, do what you're good at, certainly try and do new things, open yourself up to new opportunities and try and gain new skills, but you also have to focus on what are your core skills. And I really enjoyed this format. It's exciting. It really, helped me reach out to different people. And it's a lot easier in terms of the editing process as well. I'm not going to hide from it. It's a lot of work, but I did focus on the fact that, what, it's easy. It's, people a lot more relaxed. There's less, trying to look your best part than video would actually do. And it just opens up another facet of the conversation aspect of meeting and connecting with new people. But it just works. It just works.
And I have to ask, it's going to be a tough one for you, and you'll probably play the politically correct card.
My man, go ahead.
Most memorable guest to date, and why?
Why did you have to throw that in, man? There are so many, but I'm going to go really right off the bat. There are so many, and I hope that the people listening to this recording are not going to, go all jealous on me, but people who stood out to me. I have to say Garen Jemian, leadership coach. I believe it was episode 80 or 84. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I don't keep track, but Garen Jemian was definitely one that stood out. Not just for me.
What about that?
But it was just a friend that highlighted his page to me on Instagram, and I saw a TEDx talk he did about happy people work harder, and a book he just wrote and just pushed out, and that just resonated with me about the fact that, okay, you can actually there was addressed both to employees as it was to, bosses, because I've been a boss. I've hired and I've fired people. It's all about changing the mindset of the dynamic into the workplace and how we relate to our workplace and our work environment and our colleagues and everything. And I thought it was going to be a talk about, leadership and how to better address your career and stuff, but it became so deeper in terms of happiness and the decisions that you make within yourself. And it's not always your boss's fault, but maybe the attitude and the energy you bring into your environment and what makes you happy. What is at your core? Why are you doing this job? Why aren't you doing something else? Understand that you only have one life and you should basically be able to enjoy every single day about it. So it was a short but so energy filled conversation. I don't think he understood how it really shook me after you click off and you realize, wow, that was a great recording. But aside from that,
Yours definitely stood out because aside from, connecting on that live you did with Farah, we didn't know each other before then. So definitely just linking up with a person you just don't know. That was a lot of fun. Christopher Didion, which, does just open up my eyes to the fact that, you can be hit with a, disability, call it what you will, but, you can actually perform, in society and just be totally fine and use the best tools that are available to you. Who else? Casey McAllister, Spartan Racer, no legs. And you understand that, the Tim Hortons girl messed up your coffee. You have no right to complain because dude is running Spartan races on his hands and smiling like you wouldn't believe. So stop complaining. So many examples, Brad. I'm sorry, I could go months on end, long ass answer, but there are no favors. But these, just right off the bat, right there, some of those stood out.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking time to highlight those people. And it's interesting, isn't it, when we sit down with others that take time and hold space for us and what we're trying to do with our podcasts. And it's so cool how we learn so much about them, but we also learn so much about ourselves through the process. To that point, what have been some of your biggest takeaways, not necessarily from individual episodes, but holistically from the kind of the idea of this podcast to it actually becoming a thing to now where we're at today, kind of celebrating this milestone and closing out the year? What have been some of your biggest lessons or your biggest takeaways from all of the people you've interviewed, from all of the stories that you shared with others? What are you really taking from this?
Or if we have to round it out, as simple and basic as it sounds, it's really going to sound really kooky, but we are not that different wherever we come from. I just recently closed out an interview with this gentleman in India who's also a podcaster, who's also doing basically a version of this in his own, little, formula. But you realize that everybody wants, to be happy. Everybody wants to, help their fellow man. Everybody is going through their own little process. Everybody has their own little, nuggets of joy that they're trying to get into every little thing. For you, it might be parenting. For you, it might be podcasting. For you, it might be making $1 million sale or whatever. But at the very core, everybody wants to be happy. We just want, to find our little nugget of joy within our own little formula, our own little nook of this thing called life. What else? Success is a mindset. Okay. Mm-hmm. It all starts with how you speak, the words that you speak within yourself and the words that you speak out into the world. Your support circle is very important. The people you surround yourself with, that is a very big one. Because, the path called success is going to be a very long and arduous one. So you better have someone in your court. You can't do this alone. It is your choice. It's definitely your responsibility to put in the right, efforts and systems in place, just to assure the outcome. But your support system and the people you surround yourself with, that is very important because you're going to be surrounded by naysayers. And the more you're going to try and get to that next level, the more you may need to make sure that you have a very solid foundation of people around you just to get you, up, towards the next step. Because sometimes you want to give up and that's okay. Fear is not a crutch. Fear should be a motivator. Fear is part of the formula. There's no absence of fear. It's what we do in the presence of fear. And despite that fear, that's another one, because trust me, you don't have all the answers and you're not supposed to, because it's also part of the process. It would be a very dumb and very boring journey to have all the answers. You're supposed to figure it out along the way, and you don't have all the answers, but you have to take a chance. You have to take that step. Because every journey starts with a step, and you need to get to the destination. You need to keep putting step after step after step. Those are some of the really rapid fire lessons I can come up with, but those are some very important ones. And throughout all these conversations I've heard, all these things that, all these exchanges, these powerful exchanges I've had, these are all the basics, the basic foundations, personal truth, accepting yourself, have the courage to follow your dreams, and again, have the right people around you.
That's so key. So key. Let's unpack dreams a bit. It's something you and I have talked about both online and offline as we share text messages and voice notes back and forth from Vancouver to Montreal. And I always feel like there's something more in you. As I sit here on the West Coast, I feel like there's something more that you want or you have to give. Are Are you fulfilling dreams? Are you taking chances? Where are you at with all of what you just shared personally?
There is absolutely no way. Okay, I'm happy you throw that one in, because in terms of dreams, let's take a basic example. Again, if we're just using this podcast as an example, not too long ago, episode 101, I had the opportunity to have one of my idols across from me. Okay, no, across, he's in California, but this gentleman, photographer, used to be a photographer in a past life. I really enjoyed not just his photography, but he was also, to me, he's one of the godfathers of podcasting. He's been doing it for like forever, but I've been listening to him for a little over 10 plus years. And I've always admired his work, and I've really looked up to him and everything. And just out of nowhere, you know what? A couple of weeks ago, I'm like, making a list of, what would be the most awesome list of guests I could have. You know what? Let me hit up Twitter. Let me hit up emails. Let me hit up Instagram. Let me try and reach out to this person. You never know. All right. You never know. 48 hours later, he answers back. I would love to be on your podcast. Listen, my schedule is booked for this month, but let's book something for the month after. You know what? Not a problem. And then fast forward, on the day I'm supposed to record with him for personal circumstances, I had, let's just say, another engagement that just fell on my lap. Very close friend. And I'm like, listen, I have this recording I need to do and I explained the situation. I'm like, dude, there's absolutely no way you're going to cancel on your lifelong hero, because you need to do this favor for me. So you will be at your recording on the day of, and after the recording happened, I'm just very open right now. I hyperventilated when I clicked off. I'm like, holy crap, that really happened. That really happened. All this to say that if you don't take chances, you underestimate what you can get done if you just believe. I was ready. The person was very generous of their time. He was stellar. He was amazing. I felt like I had in this moment, in what the Eminem song goes as, lose yourself. This is your moment. You need to actually own it. Mm-hmm. And this could make or break, but you never know. It was a tremendous conversation. Even clicking off, he was very courteous. I'm like, dude, keep doing what you're doing. Love what you do. And tremendous shows of support. I'm like, okay, this manifestation thing is actually very real. So all about dreams. Dreams exist. You need to feed them. You need to believe in them. You need to harness them. You need to grab them. You need to speak them, not be ashamed of them. You need to feel empowered by them, and you need to chase them, because they're not going to sit around waiting for you. You need to actually have, no matter how crazy, you might not reach, like, as I like to say, shoot for the moon. Maybe you'll miss, but chances are you might reach a star. It sounds kooky, but that's where I am right now.
So what is the moon for you right now?
The moon right now. Recently, I've had a lot of time to think about it. I have been exercising a lot of gratitude lately, having grown up in Haiti, third world country. I've seen what it's like to have and to have not. I've seen what love looks like. I've seen what anger and fury and hatred and despair looks like. I know that we're all in this thing called life for a specific purpose. I don't have a clear definition for what that is, but I know I'm supposed to give back somehow, some way. So I'm trying to use this platform, as I like to say. I know the podcast is not the thing. I know it's not the thing, but it's the springboard towards the thing. It's giving me access to a lot of people I otherwise would never meet. And it's showing people from back home, from Haiti, that, what, here's another person doing his little part in his basement here in Candiac, Quebec, and trying to have these conversations and trying to show you that, what, if you put your mindset in the right mind space, you can impact people. Down the road, I want to help out and give out, to serve underprivileged kids, because education is very important in Haiti. Education, culture, mindset, it's all transmitted throughout cultures, throughout generations. And I'm trying to change that mindset somehow, trying to see how I can impact for a better society going forward, because it all starts from the youth. So I'm aiming towards, either using this platform to launch a nonprofit where I can assist, underprivileged kids. Either my dream is to basically give out fully supplied school backpacks. That's a long-term goal for maybe the next 5 years. That's my timeline. Like, see how I can put together a sort of nonprofit that could help out, either first year or second year, because, school supplies are expensive, but boiled down to essential numbers, they're not that expensive if you know where you put your money right. So, there are lots of programs. So that's where my mindset is at right now. I want to help out. I want to give back.
So five years from now, we'll be having a podcast about your nonprofit that is filling backpacks and helping children all over the world.
Yeah, man.
If not before,
start from Haiti and see where we go.
Amazing.
That's because everybody, we're all in this together. And I feel that, it's not just about saying it, but it's about doing it, because, it's very self-serving to actually look and say, yay, look at my wonderful podcast. But what are you doing with this?
Exactly.
What are you doing with this? It has to be bigger than yourself.
Exactly. Let's change speeds a bit, and we'll do a little quick fire round if you're open to it.
Man.
Getting to know your host a little better. These are questions that I have asked since forever to girlfriends in university, to coworkers, to everyone. And it's just kind of my way to kind of better understand your preferences, what makes you tick, and I think it's fun, and I think it'll give the listeners a better and more intimate idea of who you are at the core. So if you're ready for it, we'll just do some quick fire. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to say this or that, and you choose this or that. So if you're ready, here we go. Cake or pie?
Pie.
Too hot or too cold?
Too cold.
Swimming or sitting on the beach?
Sitting on the beach.
Speedboat or sailboat?
Sailboat.
Fruit or vegetable?
Veggies.
Too rich or too poor?
Too rich.
Too strong or too weak?
Too weak.
Know everything or know nothing?
I always believe you should always keep learning. Know nothing.
Okay. This one may be a little more challenging for you. Know how you're going to pass or not know how you're going to pass?
I don't want to know. I want to be surprised. Either it's just be like choking on a very good poutine, or I don't know. I don't want to know, because life is supposed to be a mystery. Because if you knew everything, for me at least, it would be very, very boring. Like, you don't know, and this is how I encourage people, like carrying around, like, my kid brother. I tell him all the time, you're not supposed to have all the answers. You're supposed to figure it out. You're supposed to take chances, because you don't know. Tomorrow is never promised. Today is a gift. Tomorrow is never promised. You don't know that. You just don't know. Okay. Life is, everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. Maybe tomorrow you're not going to wake up, and it's not trying to be, just, apocalyptic and stuff. It's just opening up yourself to the fact that, what? Everybody has their own sands of time that are just flowing. And you know what? Make the best of the time that's given. It sounds really philosophical, but it is so true. I've learned that, time flies. Look, it's only been a year. 2019 is almost over right now.
It's crazy.
A year has already passed, and look, you need to make stuff happen, man. You need to make stuff happen.
So on that point, if time is fleeting, and we all know it is, and you're either living or you're dying, and we all are dying as well, because time waits for no one. Is setting a goal 5 years from now a little bit too passive? Do we need to be a little bit more aggressive? If you know so intimately that tomorrow isn't given, and you know that your ultimate dream is to educate the youth, is to facilitate positive change for them, should we be doing more today to get there?
You're definitely right. 5 just seems like, a very nice, well-rounded number. But I've definitely seen the impact of, making your goals and dreams bigger than you. Because even if you miss the mark just a little bit lower, you might be surprised at everything you get done, For me, it's important to, because right now I have no problem saying it. I'm still trying to figure shit out, forget the expression, because because for some reason, something is happening in the universe where people are responding. I'm getting more DMs. I'm getting more requests to be on the podcast. I'm having people asking me asking to want to collaborate. It's like, hey, I can do some intro for you. I can do some intro music for you. I can do your editing for you. Like, wow. Okay. So this is all happening at the same time. But since I'm the only guy, sometimes I need time to think. So the 5 years just give me some breathing room. But definitely, I'm very aggressive, and workaholic as I am, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna, just kick everything into high gear at some point. But you're right, definitely, I'm definitely in the position where I probably should be a little bit more aggressive, but I don't know what that looks like yet. So please be patient with me. But definitely, but it's a great suggestion. It's a great encouragement. I know where you're going. But definitely, we need to be a little bit more clearer in how we want to achieve that and put the right systems in place. And maybe we'll probably tone it down to maybe 2 years. You never know.
Yeah, I just think that something that I've taken from your podcast and listening to the guests that you have on, the content that you've created and shared is, and this isn't necessarily from one person, it's been kind of a holistic message that I personally have taken from it is the fact that, are you actually living in alignment with your ethos and with like your ultimate vision? And that's something that I kind of check myself and reality check myself on quite often is, okay, if this is my goal to ultimately be that person, be that man. So for me, there's a dollar value, there's an impact value, there's all of those things. So I have to ask myself every single day, is this in alignment with that? And if it's not, I question, why am I doing it?
Why am I doing this?
So I feel like, I mean, I can't speak for you because I'm not there when the mics are turned off. I'm not there to see you with your family and you living your other 23 hours of your day aside from the podcasts that you share. So it's difficult for us as listeners, people all over the world that listen to you, to fully understand, like, what is he doing outside of that? So I think that's a great segue as well, and not to change the topic because I still want to come back to this and make sure that we are living in alignment with that ultimate goal, but help the listeners understand that what you do for the other 23 hours you have in a day, obviously you're sleeping, you're eating, you're using the bathroom, but you mentioned you're a father, you have a career, you have a job where you're working for someone else. So aside from the podcast, break down what a day in the life of looks like for you.
Oh, for me? Oh, really? My day starts around like 4:30, 5 a.m. Definitely, like, between 4:30 and 5, I'm already up, go downstairs, do some workouts, do some meditation, stretch, just breathe in, be thankful, be grateful for the day, just for the opportunity to wake up. It sounds silly, but how you start your day, how you get your gears going, sets you up for everything. Already have my coffee running, put the breakfast up for the little ones, put their clothes out, or if their mom hasn't done it yet, just try to, grab my notebook, write some notes. Like, okay, this is what I need to happen for today, do a list. I believe that it's also very important how your brain wakes up, because you don't know it, but your brain actually is going to set you up for how your day is going to go. So if you're going to wake up crappy, trust me, your brain is going to align with that. So, I don't get on social media at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning. Trust me, Kylie Jenner doesn't need me to actually like a post from her. I don't care. So I'm trying to even gravitate away from content that does not serve me. So everywhere I am, whether it's in my kitchen or here in my basement office or next to my bedroom, I have a book that I generally want to read. I read some good content. I'm going to go on YouTube, listen to an inspirational quote, or something that gets me fired up. In the car, same thing. If I have my favorite rap CDs, yes, CDs, people, I still have those. But when I wake up, I go shower, wake up the kids, kiss my wife, just get into the morning routine. You know how kids are. Sometimes they get really freaking annoying, but, it's part of being a dad. Aside from that, get to work, just, okay, plan out my day, just like, okay, this needs to happen. Need to call back this client, needs to do this, this and this and this and that. On my phone, every 50 minutes, I have what I call a 10-minute mental break. Because I also went through that. Your brain can only process a certain amount of information. You can only be productive for about maybe 40 minutes at a time. All right. So every hour, your brain is already shut out. And there's so many distractions going on, so many tabs open. You need to unplug. So my phone tells me, okay, mental break, 5 minutes. Just walk around the office. Seriously, I just walk around the office, do absolutely nothing, not with my phone, just walk around the office. People just see me walk on by, get back to my desk, get back in it. Lunch. I live about 10 minutes from home. So I just come home for lunch for an hour. Just, my wife and I just meet for lunch and everything. Afterwards, just chill, talk about the day, talk about anything but work, talk about the kids, what we're going to do this weekend. Did you do the groceries or something? Just normal chit chatter. Hi, dear, love you. Back at work. Get off work around 4:30, pick up the kids. If I have to put in some more hours, which I do sometimes, pick up the kids afterwards, come home, shower them, because they're a lot more cooperative once they're showered, and then do supper, listen to some little music, do some dancing, do some yoga stuff, daddy daughter stuff, just draw and stuff. Afterwards, put them to bed, come back here, do some editing, read, talk with the wife, go to bed around like 9:30, 10. If I'm editing, I'll probably be up around like maybe 11 because sleep is very important. But aside from that, that's my regular day. But how does it serve this podcast? Is because every hour has to be accounted for. So I'm always making leads. I'm always seeing, okay, who'd be an interesting guest? Where does my calendar go? How can I help this person? This person who wants to be on my podcast, how can I better serve them? How can I promote their work? I connect with you, Brad. Brad, you know what? Okay, I said, Brad put out an episode. Brad, how are you doing? Check in on your family. You need to create these connections because for me, it's not about likes. It's not about downloads. It's about creating genuine connections. You and I gravitate on the same frequency, and it's not a coincidence. I entertain and I value these relationships and these exchanges. So for me, it's about real people, and that's how I, on the day-to-day, entertain these habits that we talk about on these exchanges. Long ass answer. I'm sorry.
No, man, don't. Here, I want you to promise me something. I want you to promise something. I want you to stop apologizing. I want you to stop apologizing for just who you are. So it's see when you answer a question, it's very natural for you, right? Very natural for you to answer the way you answer it. So I want for you as your friend, I want for you to stop apologizing for who you are as a human being.
I will do.
And that's something I'm learning as well. That term should be separated. There's a human and the being. The being inside of you wants to just keep answering the questions. So don't apologize for the being. Just keep doing you. That's why people gravitate towards you. That's why people tune into the podcast. That's why people like being around you. So just don't apologize. And if you do, I'm going to come and bang down your door. I personally have a whiteboard at home that is blank right now, but at most times it has ideas on it for the podcast or for my consulting business. It also has kind of a part of that whiteboard that I keep for my top 5. And my top 5 are my kind of whales, if you will, of guests that I really want to have on. You mentioned someone that you just had on not that long ago, episode 101, someone that you've been following and admiring for quite some time, who still exists, that is out there that you either already haven't identified them, or maybe there's someone else top of mind right now that you haven't necessarily written down, but you're thinking, wow.
I haven't written down. It's also part of the 5-year game plan to have to, because I know it's probably going to take me some time to actually get their media people and get them and, wrangle their schedules and everything. But I have 10 people. I have 10 people.
Whoa.
I got 10 people. So for me, because, somebody asked me this on Instagram when I posted a story, ask me a question. And part of that was also the backpacks happening on Haiti, and my number of downloads, my magic number of downloads, and my what I call the absolutely, excuse me, the expression, absolutely no fucking way this person would be on my podcast list. Top 10 people, including, let's see, Russell Brand, Terry Crews, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Richard Branson. Who else? My list is right here. Oh, wait a second here. I'm not going to give you everything because I want you people to actually be around for the next 5 years. We said Terry Crews, Russell Brand, Neil deGrasse Tyson. We said Russell Brand and Stephen Fry, among others.
Amazing. I like that. I'm going to hold you accountable for something as well. You mentioned something a while back. You said something about what we think and what we say into the universe kind of becomes our reality.
Oh, yeah, very much.
So right now, that list that you just mentioned has a title to it. Do you remember what the title was that you just gave it?
The absolutely no fucking way this person would be on my podcast list.
So let's change that title to "These people cannot wait to come onto my podcast list." How's that sound?
Oh man, you're so special. You're so special. You're really making this exchange very interesting, Brad. Okay, I will rebaptize the list. All right.
Yeah, I think just the fact that you mentioned and you shared with all of us earlier about how you felt at one point in your life when you weren't so awesome. You were being a bit of a hypocrite, where you were kind of preaching it and putting it out there to people of like, be awesome, stay awesome, but you weren't living it yourself. And And I know to your core that you are not a hypocrite, but it's so easy to, one, apologize for ourselves when we really shouldn't be or don't have to. And two, it's also very easy to kind of qualify our goals and visions as silly when we announce them to the world. But I'm a big believer that if your goals don't make other people laugh, then they're not big enough. So for you, my friend, don't pardon yourself with anything. Don't apologize for your goals.
I struggle with that. Even when I get, acknowledgements, just this morning I got an acknowledgement over LinkedIn. This person was telling me, he's like, your podcast is amazing. He's like, I said, thank you, obviously, because, it helps. But sometimes I'm like, why? Why would you say thank you? But let's I understand. I need to get comfortable with that. That's the thing.
You don't need to do anything. Let's just get clear with that. You don't need to do anything. You can just stay in your basement for the rest of your life. But it's about what you want to do. And if you want to get comfortable with that, and judging by the goals that you have and the man that you are, it's just natural. Talking about nature again, nature will send you things like that with people that are offering you their praises. And it's nothing that you have to do. You don't have to get better at receiving it. But it's wanting to, and it's showing up like you do for so many other people. So show up for yourself with love and light and acceptance, and accept those praises and say thank you. And I know you have it in you. It's almost like when I said change the name of that list, you lit up and you giggled like that little kid that's inside of us all. Do you know what I mean? Because it sounds so silly, but if I asked the 8-year-old version of you, is that a silly goal? The 8-year-old version would say no. And again, you and I have talked about this again offline. It's amazing the difference that 15, 20 years makes when it comes to goals. And when we're young and our kids say, I want to be an astronaut, and we say, that's amazing. But when you're 20 and you say, I want to be an astronaut, people say, you can't be an astronaut.
You can't be an astronaut.
So I feel like your podcast is that for people. Your podcast is that voice that says, yeah, you can. You can actually do whatever the hell you want to do. But let's not kid ourselves. You have to really want to do it. You have to want to do it more than anyone else. So
you have to want to.
So check yourself when you don't accept the praise. Check yourself when you do say, these people will never come onto my podcast. Check yourself when you question whether or not you're good enough or talented enough or whatever it is. Check yourself and say, I am because I am, because there is no other way. That is the only way. It is my reality. I am that. You are this. You are doing it. So I think what you've done and continue to do deserves praise and deserves acknowledgement. I'm super proud of you, and
you are honored to be here today. Thank you, Brad. Wow, thank you. It means a lot. It really does mean a lot. And I know it's just probably some fake humility, and again, it's just me trying to accept. Again, acceptance is also part of this process. But on the fact that you do it so often, and after doing it for this 100 plus episodes, when this goes live, is probably going to be episode, according to the calendar, it's going to be episode 106. But for me, you've been doing for so long, it's basically now it's become something that you do. So when you stop and take ownership of all the work that goes into this thing, genuine and sincere, and all the hard blood, sweat, and tears that have been put in, I'm floored. I'm floored by all the great things that have come from this. And it's not over yet. This is not even the tip of the iceberg. I'm like, we just landed. I'm like, okay, we're going to make great things happen. This is going to be a fun ride. I've been saying this for a while. I don't know where the ship is going, but I'm enjoying the ride. And I'm still, as you said, I'm being very kiddie, very childish about it, because it's a lot of fun. It's amazing. It is. But this list and these goals are something I take very seriously. I really do. It means a lot. But thank you for the words.
We just need to change the title.
We will change the title. I promise. I will grab the pen. Once we clog off, I'm going to change the title. I promise.
So I love to ask my guests on my show, because a lot of my guests, as you know, are entrepreneurs, similar to a lot of your guests, and specifically to my space being hospitality. And I love to kind of understand how their lens changes, how their paradigm changes from day one to now. So I'd love for you to articulate as best you can, what would the host of Awaken the Awesome podcast today tell to the host of episode 1 of Awaken the Podcast?
Oh, slow down. Slow down. You're way too excited. Okay, unclench your teeth. But but as kooky as it sounds, episode 1 was just a freak, just a test into the universe, because I actually remember it because I basically recorded off my phone. In episode 1, if people care to actually go back, it's just me talking to me about getting rear-ended. I just had gotten an accident. I mean, nothing happened, but okay, except my insurance. But aside from, it wasn't really my fault. The person really just ran a stop sign. But it's just that I'm sitting here waiting on the cops just to, just write down the notice and everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm not hurt. I'm gonna get to go home. It could have been worse. This wasn't the lady's fault. These things happen. It was like maybe a 5 or 10 minute episode, just me philosophizing about, hey, things could be worse. You know what? It's just a car. These things happen. This is what you call an unfortunate circumstance. And that was episode 1. This was just a tryout. I didn't try to be perfect. Didn't try to make an intro. Didn't try to do the best episode ever, but at least I just got it out there. So what would I tell him? Just do another one. Keep showing up. Keep showing up, because this is going to be a lot of work, and learn from the next one. Learn from the last one. Learn from the last one. Learn from the last one. And don't try to be perfect. Just try to, but definitely I would tell him to just slow down, because that's the thing. When I get into it, I am so excited. I'm excited about every single guest, but sometimes you have to check yourself. That's the thing when you do your own editing and you have to re-listen to yourself every single 4 or 5 times. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, you're not really making sense. You're going off the rails. But you learn. But I definitely would give him a little bit of reassurance in terms of perspective. And I would tell him, trust yourself. You're doing a good job. You are where you're supposed to be, and it's going to take you some time, but momentum has purpose, and you're going to get there. It's not going to make sense right now, but you are impacting people, and you will change lives in more ways than you know. Mm-hmm. And just focus on you, do you, and ask for help. Don't worry to ask for help. But I would tell them that at the core, trust the process, be patient, and keep doing what you do.
I love that. A little while ago, you mentioned number of downloads when you were talking about your list of people, your ideals. So what's your number of downloads and why?
The magic number is 10 million. I'm not there yet. That's the magic number. Right now, we just passed 9,000.
Good for you, man. Well done.
We just passed 9,000 earlier this week, but the magic number is 10 million. And it, statistically, it's not right now with podcasting having exploded as it is. I'm probably thinking it's probably due to marketing. I'm not buying ads or anything. So there are probably strategies and I'm not applying. I know this for a fact because there's a science and a method to this stuff. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm just still learning along the process. But for me, slowly but surely, it's all about momentum, because we started at a point where we had no downloads to now we're at a point where we just passed 9,000. A lot of people are going to go click on the calculators and, oh my God, you're really far. Yeah, but I'm a lot farther off than where I used to be.
Yeah, so man, totally.
That's all about perspective. And I'm totally okay with that. I am totally okay with that.
What is the process? I mean, obviously you and I have been podcasting for quite some time now, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got a bunch under your belt. You've surpassed me, sir. So well done.
It's not a competition.
No, it's not a competition, but I'm just impressed, man. Like I'm impressed with the consistency. It's not a competition at all. You do you and I'll do me. But it's just cool to see someone else that I know personally that's out there on the grind and they're just, they're just hitting the ground and doing and creating so much content. But what is the process? Like, walk us through. There's someone listening right now who's been inspired by your podcast part of me or someone else's, and they're like, man, I wonder if I could have my own podcast. How does it work? Like, do I need a microphone? Do I need a laptop? Do I need an iPhone? Do I need what is the process from someone that's been doing it for 100 plus episodes now, who kind of has a better idea of like, this is what you actually need to do, and these are nice to haves, but it's not really needed.
Oh, that's cool. I've gotten the question a couple of times, so I'll try to make it really simple and, for as accessible as I can. It definitely is a lot easier than it used to be. This being my second podcast, I've definitely learned from the first experience, but right now, currently, it is not that hard. For most podcasts, you can actually have, a native app, either like Podbean has a great app, Anchor has a great app, Spreaker has a great app. You can all do that on your app. You don't need to go subscribe to an RSS feed, get your app on iTunes. They all do it off the bat, just subscribe and it's totally free. Some are just like, okay, you can only do a 15-minute recording or 30-minute recording if you go paid. It all depends on your provider, obviously. So that's the first base. You definitely have to have a good provider. So basically it's pick and choose. Buzzsprout, BuzzFeed, Spreaker, Podbean. There's so many out there. So take your pick. Definitely. So you definitely need, this is very important. A lot of people are not going to believe it. You definitely need to know your topic in terms of be committed to something you're willing to talk about over and over and over and over again. You're talking about consistency. That's the thing. A lot of people, unfortunately, are going to get into podcasts with the very false understanding. All it takes is to open your mic and start talking. Some of them do. But that would not be my recommendation. You definitely need to have something, anything that you are willing to talk about, either with someone or for yourself, 10-minute audio clips every day or every other day. But you need to have that consistency. What are you willing to talk about? What do you care enough to say? What do you care enough to say? That's why the first podcast, Fielkes, was about, photography. I love photography. I do photography, but I didn't have it in me to make a photography podcast every other week. I just didn't. So it didn't feel authentic. So that's why I want people to understand this. You need to be authentic about it. That's where the consistency is going from, because you have to actually want it bad enough to stay up at 2 a.m. to make sure that this podcast is going to come out Tuesday at 10. You have to love it enough. In terms of gear, again, going back to your phone, you have your studio on your phone. Most telephones have enough great audio for you to do, a basic recording. We're not talking NPR quality status here. You need to actually get into the process of actually pushing it out, understanding what your process is. But in terms of gear, you don't necessarily need it, but, a very good microphone is a good buy, a good investment. They're all over Amazon. Just take your pick again. What else? Definitely try stuff out in terms of, okay, do you want to do interview based? Do you want to be series based? Do you want to do, different collaboration? Do you want to do shows? Do you want to do, depending on the format, because this is an audio medium. It's not video. Those are two different types of, content based platforms and formats. So you definitely need to know the nuts and bolts about it. Work on your speech, do a couple, try stuff out, because it's only as you do them, you can only do by doing. There's no perfect formula, just rather get. You're going to make mistakes and be willing to learn. If you go to taking YouTube as an example, if you go to any popular YouTuber's first video, it's crappy. But you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to learn, because the process is what's going to help you. You're going to have to keep showing up and keep showing up and keep showing up. And that's where you're going to get into your own particular shtick, if you will. You're only going to learn how you do what you do. For me, it's been a hell of a ride. I've definitely been learning, whether with software, whether with hardware. Again, I've done this on my phone. I've done this on my laptop. I've done this in my car. I've done this, between lunch breaks. You have to get into the grind of actually wanting it bad enough, creating leads, sending out emails, connecting with people over Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. The tools are out there. People are accessible. And again, you have to be very rigorous and, yes, aggressive. If you want the person bad enough on your podcast, you will find a way. You will find a way. And you will definitely create that consistency, create that credibility. Because if you come with a demeanor of truth and honesty, yeah, you'll get some no's. I've gotten a lot of no's. I've gotten a lot of people who declined, people who were too busy, people who couldn't make it, and still I've got a running list of guests that are just like, okay, I'm still waiting answers on, but I'm not going to stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
I love it. And we don't want you to stop. We want you to keep creating content. One of the last questions I wanted to ask you is content, in regards to what content inspires you. So let's keep it to podcasts. If we can shine a light on others that you feel like are doing something that you just think is really badass, you really like, you find yourself always tuning into and always subscribing to, what would be like 1, 2, or 3 of the ones that you'd recommend to your listeners to say, like, man, you know what, these people, this guy or this girl or this group of people are really crushing it. What are those podcasts for you?
Okay, so right off the bat, the obvious, like really some noteworthy, obvious people. Definitely Lewis House's School of Greatness podcast is a go-to one. Everybody knows it. I love Lewis. I've been listening to Lewis for years, so he definitely deserves the acknowledgement that goes with it. He's doing great things, and I remember his podcast when he just started. Everybody starts from somewhere, and to see him having grown the greatness, the School of Greatness through what it's been right now is basically a platform now. It's like, it's amazing what he's done over the years. Definitely that's a show of consistency and greatness and putting your mindset and learning from the people and putting your putting your money where your mouth is. He's made it happen. He is about that. So you have to put it out there. Those are the obvious suspects. But in terms of entrepreneurship and business and greatness, I definitely want to give a shout out to Andy Frisella of the MFCEO Project. Again, if you're easily offended, I'm telling the listeners this right now, and if you can't understand or like the word fuck every 2 seconds, this is not the podcast for you. But it's definitely also one of those really down to earth, really true to form, really down the grind podcast about the reality of entrepreneurship, business, mindset, putting in the work, making no excuses, having the right people around you, building a core brand, putting in service putting the client before everything else, making a good product. He is definitely about it. He has, a tremendous amount of knowledge and expertise. He's a guy, just a blue collar guy who's made an amazing company out of first form. And his project, again, just like a lot of things, he doesn't have to do it, but he puts out this amazing amount of content and practical tips that you can apply to any facet of your life. So definitely something I tune in all the time. What else? You know what? Let me just pull up my phone. Give me 2 seconds, because I'm such a podcast fiend. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm putting out the live because you basically really kill me here. Have you heard of Half a Dozen Hospitality by Brad Bodnarchuk?
Wow, it sounds amazing.
It's a great dude. Great dude. It has nothing to do, because I'm not a restaurateur. I'm not a chef. I'm not, in the hospitality space. I can cook a decent omelet, but I like this guy. I really like him, but he's creating a platform that has actually opened up conversation and opportunities to different people in the hospitality industry to connect and express, different realities that, stuff that, the substance abuse in the culinary industry, how the design of a restaurant, how do you, recycle ugly food stuff. It's an interesting pocket, because you also have to, gravitate from stuff that it's not part of your, entire core. Step out of your comfort zone. But Half a Dozen Hospitality by Brad Bodnarchuk is definitely something you should listen to. But the last one I really enjoy is also the Think Grow podcast by Ruben Chavez. It's a really good one.
I'll have to check it out. I don't know that one.
Think Grow podcast by Ruben Chavez. It's a really delightful collection of conversations that it's really step back. It's not really about business or whatsoever, but it's all about how we accept ourselves and how we approach our lives and how to actually grow along the way. Great conversation. There are so many I could put up. I love Malcolm Gladwell's one. I love another one. I was going to talk about Business Wars, which was a really fun one about, talking about it's called Business Wars, but it opposes different brands that people know, Pepsi versus Coke, Nike versus Reebok, lots of stuff. Love it.
I love it, man. That's amazing. This has been really, really exciting for me to facilitate. And again, it's such an honor to, as you put it, be given the keys to this luxurious vehicle that is your podcast. And I hope that the listeners have, at the very least, gained a better understanding of who the man is, who the person is, who the human being is behind this thing. And I'm super proud of you and what you've done. And again, super honored that I could do this for you.
Brad, I can't thank you enough, man. Seriously.
You already have. But before we do wrap it up, we do this again next year, what's different? What are we talking about? What has been done? What have you just accomplished in the next 365 days of your life that we will be reflecting on?
Since this is the end of year special, I just want to leave a little Easter egg for the listeners. Since I didn't put this out yet, but might as well since we have it right now. The official website is already out. It's already out. That's one thing. For right now, we were doing this off the blog, but I worked really hard to actually publish a brand new, brand spanking new website. So
Which is what?
awakentheawesome.ca.
So cool.
awakentheawesome.ca. The website is live, so you guys can actually just go there and actually get the episodes as they come out. You can still subscribe on all the platforms as well, but that's one thing that we already a lot of people have been asking for some time, so I did that. So see, I'm listening. But by next year, obviously stay consistent. Try to check down off, scratch off some names off that list. And who knows? I'd like to do either a course. And why I'm saying this is because, again, my wife gave me the idea because I met someone at a meet and greet purely by happenstance last weekend who actually, in my personal energy resonance thing, I felt this person needed someone to talk to, needed guidance, and for some reason he just kept asking questions about, I'd like to awaken my awesome. And from what I'm getting from you is that, for some reason, this person was looking to me for growth. This person was looking to me for help. And that in that moment, because we exchanged numbers, and as I was driving home, he texted me saying, like, thank you for taking the time to help me out. And, what you gave me in terms of, information and support really meant a lot to me. So that is me realizing how it's so true what I keep telling myself. If I can help one person, it is time well spent. So either a course or a workshop or a meet and greet, I don't know, an Awaken the Awesome event by next year.
What about some live webinars maybe?
I would need Brad Bodnarchuk's help in terms of helping me structure that, but hey, I'm game.
Yeah, man. Well, you know what? I happen to know Brad Bodnarchuk intimately, and he is here to help you and push you as well, because he feels like he can help you even awaken up more awesome in you. Because I feel like you do have so much to give, and you are so humble in what you do, and you are helping more than one person. But I completely agree. If we're able to help just one person, then it's a good day. But let's not kid ourselves. You're doing a lot more than that, and I want to, again, hold space for you and fly your flag and say thank you so much for everything that you've done. Thank you for supporting me as well. God, the amount of text messages and voice notes this guy sends, it's amazing. And
it's genuine. It's genuine. It's not a bot. It's actually
it's not a bot. It's amazing. No, I really do appreciate that. And I look forward to one day sharing a meal with you, whether in your home, in my home, or at a restaurant, and connecting over a meal and letting you know how much I do appreciate you as a man and also appreciate what you're doing as a fellow podcaster. And if you guys aren't already subscribed to this podcast, I would ask yourself, why the hell not? Click that subscribe button and stay tuned for what I'm sure is going to be some more epic content that will positively impact not only you, but those around you as well. So subscribe, stay tuned for what is set to come for this man, because it's going to be big and powerful. And hey, you're going to see him filling backpacks for other people's kids before too long and spreading more positivity. I'm looking forward to that. So congratulations, sir. I am super excited for you, and I cannot wait to see what's next.
Brad, it's been a tremendous conversation. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for this tremendous exchange. Thank you so much for helping me close out the year, for what's been an exciting year. This is definitely a gem of a conversation. And again, as I know, I'm very overly humble. It's been something that, has always been my little shtick, that I don't want to put the podcast, the spotlight on me. It's all about creating the space for the guests, but I felt it necessary because a lot of people wanted me to actually just open up a little bit. I have nothing to hide. It's just, again, I'm just a little bit, sometimes, I'm very humble in that way. But Brad, thank you. It's been I couldn't ask for more from you in terms of collaboration and warmth. So it's been a very, 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 very exciting conversation. Thank you so much. Really do.
Thank you. I look forward to coming back on a year from now and talking about all the amazing things that you've done. Also talking about the challenges as well, because like you said, this is all part of it. It should be difficult. It should be challenging. And let's not let those trips and slips and falls deter us from our ultimate goal. So, sir, I celebrate you. I appreciate you, and I'm extremely proud of you. And keep doing what you do because it matters.
Thank you so much, Brad. Thanks you for everything. Blessings and all the best to your family and the little one. And the upcoming baby Bodnarchuk in January?
Yeah, so when this airs, I guess will be just a matter of weeks away.
Man, tremendous stuff. Guys, he is Brad Bodnarchuk. Check him out at bradbodnarchuk.com. Please do subscribe to the Half a Dozen Hospitality podcast, available on all the podcasting platforms. Definitely Brad's podcast is definitely one I'm very, very religiously subscribed to. It's definitely worth your time to learn a little bit more and have an open book onto, the wonderful wonders of the culinary and hospitality industry. Brad brings on a tremendous catalog of amazing guests who you definitely have, it's definitely worth your time to learn from, which I certainly did. Brad, have a terrific evening. Guys, another episode of Awaken the Awesome end of year special in the can. As always available via the website, new website, awakentheawesome.ca, or via email, awakentheawesome@gmail.com. Guys, as always, stay blessed, stay resilient, and as always, please stay awesome.
This has been another episode of the Awaken the Awesome podcast. We always appreciate your feedback, so please drop us a line. Our email address, awakentheawesome@gmail.com. Our official website, awakentheawesome.ca. Also, if you haven't already, please hop on over to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, give us a rating, and leave us a review. We're also available on all your podcasting platforms of choice, including Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher, just to name a few. We always appreciate your support, and thank you for listening. Stay awesome.